This is by far the largest number of guests we've ever had in a single episode. Today, we like to turn this into some form of a roundtable / panel / web, like just informal conversation where our guests and ourselves are open to questions, lend some perspectives to our side of the aviation, and just kind of give our sides of a certain story. We are joined today by the Elevate Aviation team who participated in the 2022 aircraft maintenance competition in Dallas, which is comprised of Hannah, Cassandra, Miss Nordia, Lindsay, and Alicia. Ladies, thank you for coming on to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So again, we like to say thank you, and we're happy to be undertaking this episode with you. Thank you for taking the time out to come on to the show. And we hope to do something like this again, where we have like either a large number of guests or have guests of different backgrounds or people who have at one point in time like worked together to do stuff. And before we begin, like just go around the room to introduce for you all ladies to give an introduction to yourselves. Tell us your name. Tell us your name, what sort of position you hold, and like what's type of aircraft you've been working on. So let's start with Miss Lindsay to my left. Hello.
Hello. So my name is Lindsay. I am currently a quality assurance auditor with an airline, and but I am an AME as well, and I've worked mostly on smaller aircraft. I worked at a flight school. I've worked on charter aircraft like King Airs and Navajos, and also Beech 1900s, Dash 8s. So that's kind of the realm I'm in. I like the medium stuff a little better. Just happy to be here with all my ladies.
All right. Happy to have you, Miss Alicia.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I'm a licensed AME as well, M1 and M2. Similar to Lindsay, I've worked on kind of a range of aircraft from like a Cessna 172 up to the biggest aircraft I've worked on is a CRJ 900 so far. And currently I'm working on seaplanes, which is new for me.
Oh, interesting.
Very nice. I mean, yeah. I myself, what do you guys call them? Floaters?
Seaplanes, float planes.
Okay, gotcha. I figured there would be some kind of nickname to them because some individuals, they are a little bit more particular with planes that land in the water versus those that don't. Some call them frogs, some call them hoppers, some call them all sorts of other stuff. And I just wonder if there was any difference on your guys' end from us.
Not that I know of, but I'm pretty new to this realm, so maybe I just haven't learned the proper terms yet.
Gotcha.
Not sure if there is a proper term when you're talking about nicknames.
This is true. This is also true.
Yeah.
Miss Hannah.
Yeah, so I'm Hannah Duffield. I'm a licensed structures AME. I've been doing that for about 5 years. I have also worked on a lot of different types of airplanes. I started my career working solely on Twin Otters, mostly, getting a crushed up airplane in a box and completely rebuilding it, which was really fun. These days, I find myself working at one of Canada's largest AMOs, mostly working on 737s, converting passenger airplanes to cargo freighters, and doing regular scheduled maintenance. And I also work on small airplanes too, like Beavers and Convair 580s and that sort of thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Nice. Miss Nordia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nordia. I am an AME apprentice, currently working towards getting my M2 license. I work for a regional airline currently. I wouldn't say I have worked on anything yet because I just graduated in June and I just started with my current employer a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Well, congratulations on your graduation.
Very
big step.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Miss Cassandra.
Hello, thank you. My name is Cassandra Hepp, and I am an M1 and M2 licensed engineer here in Canada. Most of my career was spent up in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut, working on, I have both licenses, so I've been on the M1, kind of the Jetstreams, Dorniers. I have a little bit of Cessna experience, but not much. And then M2, I've worked a lot on ATRs, 42s and 72s, and then the 737, 200 classics, NGs, and now I just actually have the MAX endorsement as well. And now I am a maintenance controller at an airline, and I'm working in Alberta here. So thanks for having us.
Hey, maintenance control. Look at you, Miss Boss Lady.
That's right.
Cassandra,
Appreciate you guys coming on.
most def. And Cassandra, thank you again for being a repeat guest on the show. Think you're
Well,
like
thanks
our
for having me. And,
And bringing a killer team with you.
oh, most definitely.
it was so fun last time, and I know it's going to be just as fun since all of our ladies are here.
Oh, most definitely. We'll definitely have some fun. And I want to say, like, Cassandra's like our 4th ever repeat guest. No, wait, 7th ever repeat guest.
Aww.
Wow.
I didn't even know that, so that's news to me. I'm learning something too.
Well, technically we did. So we had 3 guests at a time in person, and we just did 2 back-to-back recordings, or 2 back-to-back. So we had 3, and then we had another 3, and they were both back-to-back. So technically 7. Yeah, we can count. We suck. Sorry. Surprise, everybody, we suck.
So now we got the whole team together. Give us kind of a rundown of all of your experiences there at the maintenance competition. Kind of a high and low, maybe. Maybe that's a way to start. Like, what was your favorite part? What was your least favorite? And then whoever wants to start first, I'm sorry. I won't pick and choose. I'll just throw it out there.
Well, I think if we start before we even got to the competition was probably the harder part, just figuring out what it was, because we hadn't really ever heard of it prior to it being introduced to us, and it took us a while to figure it out and then figure out who's going to compete in what, and because we all have varying backgrounds, as you've seen, and what we think we all could kind of do. So a lot of these kind of Zoom things to figure it out and get to know each other at the same time. So I think the best part was just being all in the same place for once after all those talks and getting to hang out and be ladies in the industry together and not just the like single one out as we always are.
Sure.
Yeah. For me, that was great.
So that's interesting. You said, trying to decide who was going to do what competition. You all have varying strengths, varying backgrounds, as you said. What was the ultimate determination? Did you actually guys, compete against one another to determine kind of maybe who would be a better fit for a specific task? Rock, paper, scissors, or just say, I'm going to do it, and everybody said, okay.
Well, we kind of said, okay, Hannah's structures, so let's keep her on structures. And whereas some of us had more avionics experience, so it's okay, we'll have her doing an avionics. But then when we got there, day of events, I know we did some switching around too. I wasn't supposed to be doing the APU burner can with Alicia, but I remember that day I was I really want to do this, and I think that I could help us do really well. So then I switched out with Hannah, and I can't even remember what I was supposed to do, but Hannah took my spot in something else. And then Alicia and I did the burner can together. And I remember we did it in 7.5 minutes or something. And I was so excited because I had done that so many times by myself at a different company, and for her and I to do it so fast together, I was really excited that we kind of got to just do it day of. And so we kind of just switched things around as required, but we tried to kind of have it planned out. But sometimes planning doesn't work the way it's supposed to, and we just switched it up the day of.
Most def. Well, again,
worked out.
Yeah. And as far as you doing your burner can by yourself, you're also doing that with basically oven mitts because of the weather over where you used to work. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I remember doing it outside in Yellowknife up on the roof of a truck, but it was summer. But I'm like, Alicia and I did it significantly faster with the two of us. So it was really fun.
Like, can only imagine, especially I remember when you guys posted about it just after the event, like, we just did it in less than 8 minutes. Like, that's pretty fast. That is pretty fast. How about you, Hannah? What was the highs and lows of the AMC?
Yeah, I think my favorite part was, like Cassandra kind of mentioned, like I was the only structures person, and I find that sort of like the nichest license to have. Like, I only touch structures. I don't touch multimeters. I don't really touch any kind of equipment. And I ended up doing a competition with Cassandra where we were like troubleshooting avionics stuff. I think it was like you had to find a fault in like a coax cable. And I've never done that in my whole life. I had never even seen that equipment before. So that was definitely a high for me, just like kind of like pushing myself out of my comfort zone and trying new things for the very first time in a very time sensitive, high pressure environment. And so that was really fun for me. And also I really loved learning, like kind of even apart from the competition, a lot more about how like the AMP license works and how like different aircraft maintenance is in the States. That was another high for me. I would say the low was having to leave all my friends once it was all over.
Oh.
So you guys live pretty far apart from one another then?
Yeah, like we pretty much all live in different provinces. I guess now Cassandra and Lindsay live in the same province, but different cities. And then me and Alicia live in the same province as well, but different cities. And then Nordia is all the way across the country as well. So.
Oh, wow. So Nordia, you were still a student when the AMC happened. Is that correct?
I was, yes.
So from your perspective, especially being a student, what was some of the highs and lows of the competition?
I think for me, the high was just being at the event and seeing how big it was, watching all these other teams compete and actually being a part of it instead of just a spectator. I wouldn't say I had any lows because at first I was nervous before I got there. I was really nervous about competing and performing because obviously I'm in school and everyone there was, I felt like they had more experience than me. But once I got over that fear and just started to have a good time, like everything was great. So I wouldn't even say I had any lows. I just had a all around great experience.
Nice. That's a great way to think about. Alicia, I can't remember if we asked, like, what was some of the highs and lows for you?
For me, I'm kind of similar to Nordia. Like the whole event for me was like a huge high. It kind of brought back the same feeling of when we all met in the Canadian AME competition. But this was like larger scale. This was like massive compared to the one that we had competed in. So it was just like taking everything in. I mean, I think the cherry on top was Cassandra winning the AMT Top Professional Award for us. And like when her name was called, we were all just like screaming for her. So that was really exciting. And yeah, I don't think I really had any lows at all because it was just such an exhilarating time. I think, leaving everybody because we all trickled off slowly, and then me and Hannah were the only two left in Texas. So it was sad to see everybody leave slowly.
Hey, I can feel that. I totally understand. Like, especially with us, when you're so bonded with a team, no matter what the time frame is, and then you guys have to part ways for whatever the reasons is, it's almost like this mini heartbreak. I'm like, but no, but why?
Yeah, that's how deployments felt for me when you had a really solid crew you were on deployment with, and you guys, would be together for 6 months to a year, working day in and day out, smoking and joking, and just getting missions done and getting the work done. And then slowly people start phasing off with their deployment. You know that the chances for you guys, I think it might be a little different because you're all planning on doing this again. But for my instance, it was like, oh man, I don't know if we'll ever get this dream team together again.
Right. Now there was like a whole bunch of events when we saw the list of all the different events that you guys were supposed to do or were going to do. Was there an event specifically like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm totally up for it. Like I wanted to do that, but I don't want to really do it because I don't want to hurt the team. Was there like any specific event that like, I want to try this, like just to try it out?
I think that was Hannah for every event. I think like she came up with, I think like an Excel sheet or something. And I think her name was almost next to everything. Like, yeah, I want to try this. Yeah, I think I could do this. Yeah, this looks like a good time. If no one wants this, I'll take it. And I was like, no, I don't want this. Nope, I don't want this. No, thank you. Nope, this doesn't look good. What is this? I've never seen this before. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was mostly just like, who's done this before? Okay, you're on it. Okay, who wants to go with that person to try it? And I think one of the none of us had really done or maybe done once was like fan blades, and we're all like, well, I guess we'll just see how this goes. So
Totally
the fact
different
that you do it in like 7 minutes is what they gave us for fan blades. I was like, this takes you hours. Like, what is this?
Yeah, who does this job in 7 minutes? Because if I was in my normal hangar and somebody says, I got it done, I go, I'm going to ask you to go try that again.
Well, we saw the team that competed before us. They did it in 30 seconds.
What?
Okay, so we had to follow that.
Wow.
But they had like a trainer at their school. It was a school team and they had like something to practice on. Like we didn't practice for anything.
What was the specific task for a family?
Yeah, it was in like the 7th position or something. So you had to kind of go around and around and get it out. But they had like 3 people, one churning, the other like loosening, and the other one just like holding the rest in. And it was crazy.
That's still pretty mind blowing. That's still pretty mind blowing. Like a NASCAR pit stop. Like, and
Totally.
go. We're done already, Dag.
It was kind of interesting though, because so many teams from the States practiced for like 6 months up to a year for all of these events. So it's like we came in and literally were looking at the manuals the day of, and then some of these other people had been doing these exact tasks for months leading up. But like one that I was very proud of was when Nordia and I did the pneumatic drive unit on the big FedEx engine. I can't remember what engine specifically.
It was a JT9D.
Oh, okay. So good job that you remembered that.
I'll never forget.
Yeah, like we did that and we got it installed and like almost everything hooked up in the 15 minutes. And like her and I had never seen that in our lives. And we had almost like removed, done the install, just had like a couple things to tighten up. And I mean, obviously the groups that had practiced this, could do it in 5 minutes. But I was just really proud that her and I got it removed, installed. This thing was like 60 something pounds. And like we did really well at that, even though it was the first time either of us had looked at it.
Well, that just speaks to you guys' capabilities, right? So all these other teams came in there and they were practicing and they've been doing all, getting the regiment down. You guys hadn't even seen these items and were still able to get it done. So that says a lot for you all. I mean, you guys I'm listening to it. I'm thinking of Cool Runnings. You guys ever seen that movie? That old movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are the Jamaican bobsled team, man. You came in out of nowhere and took a clean sweep.
Right. Especially like we've never done this before. We've never seen this in action before, nor what it's supposed to look like. Oh, by the way, here you go, and you got 15 minutes. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So who got to do the virtual paint booth?
Oh, that was me. And I think I got like 86% of it covered or something, but Hannah, structures person, she was like busy doing a legit structures task. So then I had to do that and I wasn't super excited, but
I think we were doing windows and they were pretty impressed at how fast she put that window in.
Right.
Well, Windows is a tough job, man. I've done a few of those. That's a tough job.
Oh no, she made it look easy. She just was like, got it, put it in place. Choo. I was like, okay.
The thing with Hannah, she makes everything look easy, and I can't even like draw a straight line with a ruler. Like it's like being on her, like working with her. It's like on one hand, it's like, yes, I'm glad she's on my team and not on the opposing team, because I wouldn't want to go against her. But then you have to kind of like stand back and like watch in awe as she does all these amazing things. Structures is no joke. And, Hannah's really great at what she does. And everyone always is impressed.
Oh, most
I always said structures is an art form.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Also, the
Fabbing,
art form of
composites.
salesmanship that Hannah had, as her company was also there, and she convinced them to buy some products that she was using in these competitions.
Okay.
Oh,
All
right, there you
New
go.
tools for
Hey, I
her
need
to
to get a new
use.
car. So how soon can you be in Southern California?
Oh my goodness.
It'll take you and have you talk to the dealer.
Right. You talk the dealer into buying the car for you instead of you
That's
buying the car. I can totally attest to structures and composites, because I mean, most of the structures and composites I've dealt with were all helicopter related. I mean, there some general stuff is the same, but when you deal with certain like fixed wing airframes, they have like a certain requirement. They have to be so smooth. They have to contour a certain way. They can only have so many bends or wrinkles. Like, okay, right? But when I got thrown into that, I'm like, here you go. Here's the manual. Here's the stuff. Here's the tools. Like, I've never done this in my life. What do you want me to do again? You want me to do what? Like, yeah. Just do that. And by the way, we need that in like 8 hours. So get to it. Like, excuse me?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, structures is an art form. My experience with structures is, most of my experience is field repairs. It's structurally sound. It won't break, but it's not super pretty either.
Yes.
It's enough to get it out of the
Too
field
hard.
so that it can
That's
get
right.
fixed.
Well,
Yes.
or enough to get it back in the air for another mission, right?
Oh,
Yes.
fair.
Yeah, it's structurally sound, but don't look too hard in that area.
Right. It's flying. So A+, right?
Yeah.
Do you want it fixed or you want it flying? Which one? What do you mean, which one? So, with that said, stepping a little bit away from the competition, what drew you all to aviation? Whoever wants to answer first.
I think for me, like growing up, I always wanted to be a flight attendant. At one point, I really said, like, I really want to do this. But I was working at a bank, and then I got the opportunity to work for an airline as a gate agent. And I was still in school at the time. And the opportunity came where they were hiring for flight attendants. This is back in the States because I just recently moved to Canada. And I loved it. I loved being a flight attendant so much. It was such an amazing experience to get to travel. And, the schedule was great. The money was great. The people was great. The company was great. But I would always see maintenance, and I was very intrigued by what they did. Unfortunately, I could not afford to go to this school in New York. I just couldn't afford it. And so I kind of put that on the back burner. When I moved to Canada, I left my job as a flight attendant, and I wasn't really sure what to do. And my husband convinced me. He was like, well, you should go to school and do this, as it's something that you wanted to do. And I ended up at Centennial, and I think it was one of the best decisions I made, because I love aviation, and I love that I've been able to do so many different things in aviation. And I feel that's one of the things I love about the industry, is so endless. Like, there's so many different roles you can have. And yeah, I'm just living the dream right now.
It's awesome.
So that's pretty cool. So you said you were in New York. Are you from the States originally, or from Canada and went to the States and back?
Originally, I was born in Trinidad. So yeah, I'm a West Indian girl, and I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
So the reason I asked is because of the accent. I can hear the New Yorker coming out of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit in the accent. What's interesting, so getting back to the New York aspect of that, a buddy of mine, friend and former coworker, he grew up in Queens, and his high school actually was aviation centric.
Aviation, yeah. You know what's so weird? I went my whole life. I never heard of that school until I got to the airline where I worked, because a lot of the guys in the maintenance department went to that school. And even though my high school had a flight program, it was for pilots and it wasn't really advertised. And that's an issue I have, because people don't talk about aviation as much as they should. And people don't talk about maintenance as much as they should. You know, you always have this option to like be a pilot, which is great, be a flight attendant, which is great. But I sometimes feel like we're like the Harry Potters of the industry. Like,
nobody wants to talk about the magic elves. We're the magic elves that come out and fix the plane in the night. Nobody ever talks about us.
Yeah, so. We're like under the stairs in the cubby, you know.
Yeah. But you're exactly right. I mean, and I think we just had Bastig on there a couple weeks ago, Six. Like he brought up the same thing. Like nobody talks about it though. Like aviation's not going anywhere. It's only growing and expanding as we try to go faster around the globe, as we try to get more economical in our designs and fuel efficient, as we try to exit the planet and go to other places. Right. Yeah. Who's going to fix all that stuff? Who's going to build and fix all that stuff? But nobody ever talks about that. So strange. It's getting a little bit better in the area that I live, but this is called Aerospace Valley. What's another name for it? We have so many like DoD contractors here and things like that. So it's really heavily talked about here, because I'll say probably 80% of the population all work at one of those places, to include myself.
Yeah.
And a couple, they've actually built a new high school in the area that is specifically one is for STEM degrees. So kids are going to start coming out of college with or coming out of high school almost with a bachelor's in some STEM degree.
Yeah.
And another one is for maintenance, for aviation maintenance.
Nice.
Yeah. So kids will graduate with an airframe and power plant license and an associate's degree.
That's
wow.
But from high school, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, because then they don't have to pay for it too.
Yes.
Right. You don't have to pay for it. And you're already, and you look at the industries and go, man, it's already turnkey. So they've already got the license. I don't have to invest in that.
Yeah.
I don't have to do these things. I can just throw them on the shop floor and keep the line rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to a high school that had vocational programs like that. So I took metals and aerospace when I was there. So I learned machining, like metal lathe and milling machine, welding, and then like sheet metal stuff too. So most of the people that I went to high school with, they ended up going to school for structures, but I was like, I'd wanted to be a pilot, and I actually did get my private pilot's license this summer. I graduated from high school,
cool.
But that was when I decided it was really boring and I wanted to do something more exciting.
Wow.
And just get to altitude and fly straight and level and wait till you get to your destination and then land.
Watch Netflix.
That's how I got into aviation too. I always wanted to be a pilot, but I wanted to fly fast movers, you know?
Oh yeah. If I had known there was other options that because that's the other thing too about even pilots, like people just think of airlines, but there's so many other ways you can go, right?
Right. But that goes back to the advertisement. Like when I went into it, I wanted to fly fast movers, and the military said, "No, medically, you're not sound enough to fly a fast mover." But then they don't say, "Okay, well, how about heavies, or how about helos?" At least for me at the time, they didn't talk about that. But then nobody said, "Well, okay, why don't you look at the airlines, or why don't you look at flying cargo or something like that, or look at flying anything?" Somebody was talking about float planes earlier. The Department of Fish and Game here in the States, they use float planes up in Maine to fly around and do what they got to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So your draw from aviation actually came from high school. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, it even started earlier than that. We have a program here in Canada called the Air Cadets, like Royal Canadian Air Cadets. So I joined that when I was 12. That's the age you can join. And then within that, they talk about, it's got lots of great stuff like leadership and effective speaking, like public speaking, but also introduction to these aspects of aviation, not just piloting, but like we talked about the different types of aircraft, especially in the military, and then the different avenues you can go. There's like airport operations we learn about and that kind of stuff. So that was really kind of the jumping off for. So then when I got to high school and saw they have this program, I was like, oh, I'm in. Like they're building a kit plane in this school. I'm in.
Nice.
So yeah. So that was kind of fun. And definitely kept me like engaged in high school. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. Because my afternoons were always just in a shop, right? As opposed to sitting in class falling asleep. Mm-hmm. So definitely helped.
Yeah, definitely feel
that.
But
that is the thing. Like you said, there's a lot of kids that are sitting in school that teachers are kind of writing off because they're maybe not doing so well, but books and things aren't their forte, but they're really good with their hands. And if they had the opportunity to do something like you did, they might really excel and say, hey, I'm not interested in reading about, Napoleon, but I can fab together the skin of this aircraft.
Yeah.
No problem. Like they just don't get the opportunity to do so.
Yep.
No, and it was always fun. We had other projects we do, like at Christmas we do what we called a dog sled race, except we didn't have dogs. We'd make a sled. We'd weld together a sled out of scrap metal, and then we'd pull it in the field behind the school and see who had the fastest sled. Someone rode on it and people pulled, and then we do a pizza party. So,
nice.
All right.
Yeah, it was fun.
Your school sounds way more fun than mine.
Well, definitely way more fun than mine, even. How about you, Miss Hannah? What drew you to aviation?
Yeah, so my story is actually pretty funny. Growing up, my dad owned his own shop. He's like an automotive mechanic.
Right.
So the plan for me was always to sort of take over the family business and whatnot. At maybe 14 years old, I stopped growing in height. I'm only 5 feet tall. I can't lift a tire. So maybe automotive mechanics wasn't for me. He told me that in a very nice, fatherly way. So, grade 11, grade 12, I had no idea what I was going to do. I still applied for the automotive programs. And where I was living at the time, they're some of the most competitive programs in Canada. So surprisingly, I didn't get in, not really surprisingly. So yeah, I was left with a few months before graduating high school, and I still had no idea what I was going to do. And I came home from school one day, and my dad was like, "Oh, why don't you just apply to one of these aviation programs?" And I was like, "Oh, fix airplanes?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "That'd be really funny if I did that. No one does that. No girls are doing that." I was like, "That would be so funny if I applied to that." So I applied to the program as a joke, and that's actually why I chose structures, because the structures schooling was only a year, and mechanics and avionics was 2 years. So I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll do that for a year. That'd be really funny." So I applied. I got accepted. I was actually the first person accepted into my program, and then I was like, "Oh, well, that'd be funny if I just went to school." So I went to school, and I thought it was hilarious. And the first day of school, I was like, "Wow, I want to do this for the rest of my life." And then everything changed from there. I went to school. I loved it. I wasn't great in school. So I, said to myself, "Oh, I'll give it a shot. I'll get out in the industry, do my apprenticeship, get my license. And if I don't like it, then I'll quit." And I haven't looked back since. And now aviation is my whole life. I love it so much. And I couldn't imagine myself doing anything different. So I always find my story a little bit funny. And it resonates with a lot of people because, a lot of people have families that were in aviation. Their grandpa's a pilot. Their uncle does maintenance or whatever. And for me, it was just absolutely hilarious. So that is how I fell into aviation.
what a joke that you played on yourself, right? Like,
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah.
but it played out right?
It did. And people find that story hilarious because, like, I'm so airplane crazy. Like, people don't understand me. Like, I'm just all about my airplanes. And it's just crazy because, 10 years ago, I couldn't tell an airplane from a helicopter. So, yeah, it's crazy how that works.
What doesn't help when they call the planes by like their nicknames or their plane codes, right? Like, oh, A331 versus Neo 737 Max. Like, what? What? What is that? How about you, Miss Alicia? What drew you here, or what drew you to aviation?
For me, as a young kid, I always knew that aviation was going to be the industry that I was going to go into. I loved going to the airport whenever we had to pick somebody up, or like if we got the chance to fly anywhere, I was like packed my bags the day of I found out we're going somewhere. Some of my earliest drawings are of airplanes. So I was just really passionate about aviation. And so, like, kind of similar stories to the other girls, like I only saw the flight path of a pilot or a flight attendant as my two options. So I kind of just thought I would do the pilot route. So initially I was going down that pathway and like figuring out how to do that. And then when I got to grade 12, which is the graduating year, I went to like an open house at our trade school. Sorry. And a trade school that's local here in BC. And they had the maintenance program on display. And so they had like an engine, an open engine there, that piston engine. And so I just like looked at it and was like very intrigued. And so I asked a couple of questions and they're like, yeah, this is a program, like this is a full-time job. You can do maintenance. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So they gave me the brochure or whatever. But yeah, I was like, I should probably learn how to fix an airplane before I fly it. So I was like, I'll do that first. I'll do maintenance program because I think that's really good knowledge that will be valuable to me. I'm a very independent person. So I was like, if I'm going to be stuck somewhere, I don't want to rely on anybody else. I'll just fix it myself. And so, yeah, I kind of went to the program. I had no mechanical background skills whatsoever. Like I never did shop or anything. I'd been around tools, like I seen my dad around tools and helped him here and there doing like really small things, but never really was mechanically inclined. But then I just fell in love with the program and I've been doing it now for 8 years and I have not looked back. And I don't know if one day I'll get my PPL, but it's still on my to-do list.
Your story kind of reminds me of Cassandra's when we had her episode. And I was a cosmetologist. I was a hairstylist and I had zero clue about tools and what they do and what they're for. And like now here we are. Like
now I'm leading the industry.
Yes.
It's crazy to think that, like, I remember the first day I walked into the wrong classroom at school. So that was super embarrassing. And they were talking about stuff I had no idea about. And it's like probably the most basic stuff, but they're talking about like Phillips head versus like a flathead screwdriver. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know what any of these things are. So it's crazy how far we've all come.
Right. And I've noticed a common trend is like aviation wasn't highly talked about when you guys were coming up into the field. And same kind of with our stories with MVP and I. Now, as far as women are concerned, like, that's a whole other topic that's rarely, if ever, talked about. And when they are talked about, it's like the stuff you've all mentioned, like being a pilot, being a flight attendant, doing something other than being the ones turning the wrench. So with that said, what's an insult? I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit. What's an insult that you've received for being a woman in aviation that you're actually kind of proud of?
Oh, that's a good spin on it. I knew you were going to go that spin. Oh, interesting.
I kind of got that from Cassandra in her episode when everyone's like, oh, you got tiny hands. And like, well, yeah, well, these tiny hands can fit in places.
And you're damn right that
I do. I don't get stuck in the fuel cell like you, friend. Shut up. So what's an insult that you've received that you're actually kind of proud to have?
The small hands one thing is very true, though.
Yeah. Many times on like the Garrett engines, on the oh crap, what are they? Those flying darts. The metros. Yeah, I'd get the guys to. They'd come in and they'd be like, can you cut off the end of this tie wrap for me? Like, I just can't reach, just because like my hand is like the size of their wrist, you know? So I'd get that a lot. But then you also get shoved into tiny places to do stuff.
Yeah, fuel cell.
Never had to, but thank God.
Fuel cell maintenance is the worst. But you could be my size, and I'm not very big, but I'm built like a rectangle, let's say. And they still stuff you into a fuel cell. So your shoulders are smashed together and you're trying to grind cracks out of the paste of the composites for 8 hours straight. That's not fun.
Yeah, I never had to do that, thank God. Had to scrape a lot of PRC out of a wet wing, but yeah, and smell like jet fuel after. But and yeah, being stuffed in hell holes. I don't know. I'd go to AME symposiums, like a conference that we'd have annually, and people are like, "You're too cute to be an AME," and I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Like, I guess you're for underestimating me, but
thank you for recognizing my good genetics.
Yeah, but also like, get out of my face.
Yes, and then that's another stigma too with women in aviation, which we hear a lot. And I think we've mentioned this like so many times, like when it comes to seeing women in the aviation field, doesn't matter what it is. They can be pilots, they can be mechanics, anything. Like maybe not so much flight attendants, but when they see women on the field or on the line or on the ramp, they say like, "You're in the wrong place, friend. You're gonna break a nail. You're too pretty to be here. You're too whatevers."
This is for like, knuckle draggers.
Yeah, one of those like. You're too smart to be here. Like, excuse me?
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what people's vision of a mechanic should be other than skilled to do their job so that they have faith in the airplane that they're flying on. And that's all it should be in my mind. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any. It's hard, that's a hard one, an insult that we take as a compliment. There's not many, I can say that, but.
So let me make it a little bit more broad then. So like, what's a misunderstanding that you've received being a woman in aviation?
Oh, that you're in the wrong place. You're lost, or
can we help you? You seem like you shouldn't be here.
I've had people hang up the phone on me a couple times, thinking I called the wrong number, and then they'll call again, and it's still me. So
like,
that's
wow.
Like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to call the supply department. Can you forward me to maintenance, please?
Yeah, and then I'd hang up and then be like, let them call again, and then I would pick up again.
You know what? I talked to a girl when I was working private jets. Her name was Sarah. She was maintenance control, and she would tell me those stories. Like, you'd call in, like because she was based on the East Coast and I was out on the West Coast, and I'd work and I'd call and say, "Hey, I'm trying to get the jet release. I emailed you all the stuff." And she would, as she was reviewing the paperwork, she would, be telling me about her night. She's like, "Oh, I just had like 4 guys call me, and when I answered, they just hung up and they called back, and it was me." Same situation. Like, they thought they got the wrong number because they were expecting a guy.
Wow, I can't wait until that happens. Hasn't happened yet, but I remember one time at a previous job, I was like up on a Skyjack working on the engine, and I had a pilot come in to the hangar, and he was like, I just said, "Oh, how was your flight? Like, how was your day?" And he's like, "Well, it was okay, but like, I'm just going to say Bob, even though that wasn't the person's name. Well, where is Bob? Like, I need to talk to him." And I said, "Oh, well, Bob is, I don't know, on lunch or whatever. Like, what's up? Is everything okay with the plane? Like, you can talk to me." And he's like, "Well, no, I need to tell Bob about this. Like, we have a snag." And I said, "Well, I have ACA on this airplane too. You could tell me about it." And he just like did not want to talk to me, didn't want to tell me what was wrong with the plane. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to let it go. You can't like change someone's opinion of the matter. So he wrote up his snag in the logbook, and then I took it and like went to work on what the problem was. But yeah, just things like that. Like, I've had pilots definitely not want to like tell me what's wrong with the plane when they see that it's me and not like somebody else.
Have you ran into that same scenario with female pilots? Have they kind of treated you, or do they look down on female maintainers, or have you received the same treatment as that guy just gave you?
No,
From
honestly, with female pilots that I've worked with in the past, like they've always been really good, like almost excited. Like as soon as they see me, it's like, yay, there's a female, like there's a woman. And yeah, I had a snag when I was in Resolute Bay and the captain was a woman, and she instantly called me and was like, uh-oh, Cassandra, like we got this going on. Like, what do you know? And I'm like, okay, we'll get this figured out. And yeah, they taxied away 15 minutes later and took off and it was all good.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Because sometimes, you're afraid that your peers or whatever wouldn't kind of lift you up, right? And they might treat you the same way or look down upon you for whatever reason. So that's good to hear that you've had a pleasant experience from that end.
Totally. As for like other female AMEs, I feel like I've seen like some women, not a lot, where they're almost kind of like threatened by other female AMEs.
Competition.
Yeah, like it's like competition. Yeah. Whereas like in my opinion, I'm like, oh my God, an instant best friend. Like, thank God there's another woman. Yeah. And that's why I wish that all of us like on this team would be at the same company, because I just think it would be so cool for us to all work together, just because we're always lifting each other up and like we're very supportive of each other and want to chat with each other and stuff. But I have seen like the odd person or two where it definitely is like not that I've ever worked with them specifically, but just where they are competitive towards other female AMEs. But yeah, we're definitely not like that.
Have you ever thought about starting your own?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
The crop dusting business out of the farm.
Oh, the AOG, or how about that AOG thing we talked about in the last episode?
Yeah, AOG I think would be right up you guys' alley.
I don't know if that's so much a thing in Canada as it is the States. Like I was looking into it and I don't think that.
Maybe it's not a thing yet.
Yeah, like I don't think that is specifically a thing in Canada. Not to say that we couldn't start our own.
You could be the pioneers of it.
Yeah. Plus we can
help you.
We got Super Hannah over here who can sell literally anything to anybody.
Oh gosh.
It's like, do you have a private plane? Would you like your own private maintenance service? Only
Actually, I could hear her saying that.
Only $1,500 a month, all day, every day.
And you can start selling your services if anybody's an engine specialist, right? Get on Pratt and Whitney's C+ warranty program where you do all their warranty work for them.
Oh.
I've been with a few companies that do that because I'm an engine guy, so I got a lot of engine experience. And I worked a few of those C+ jobs, and those are pretty choice jobs. So something to think about.
Very much so. At least I'm going to pick on you just a little bit because you run a organization. I'm not sure if it's a nonprofit yet, but I know you guys will work into it. So that specifically gears towards both mechanics and women in aviation. So like a lot of these stories are resonating. What are some of the things that you have seen or done to kind of help that along? Like as far as putting aviation out there and having women be more aware of it versus just be a pilot. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where like Hangar Queens, which is the organization that we're talking about, that me and Stephanie, who's an AME in the military, we co-founded that together. And it's just that to like create awareness about women doing maintenance as a career and like highlighting women in different positions. You know, we have apprentices, we have students, we have women that, have been in the industry for a long time and are now instructing and are teachers at schools. So it's like showing a variety of how this career and what path you can take really is because we never got to experience that or see any of that growing up and throughout our career. So that's kind of what we want to do with Hangar Queens, and also offer some mentorship. People do message us and ask us questions, and we're more than happy to help because we didn't have that coming up into the industry ourselves. So we just want to give back in the ways that we can and just help other girls pursue their dreams.
That's freaking awesome. I love every bit of that, and we're very big supporters of you and all
Yes,
this.
you guys are.
And it really is, because we went through the hard road, and we don't want you to do the same. Like, if it's something that we can help you along with, or something that we know is going to be a wrong turn into a dead end, I don't want you to figure that out for yourself. I'd rather just be like, you may or may not want to take that right turn. Whether you take it or not is your fault, or is on you, or your personal choice. But just giving you a heads up, it might be a dead end. So I give you the best path possible, and you make the most of it for them. That's
Exactly.
kind of the mindset that at least we go through. So I'm not sure if other people are in the same manner, because we have seen some individuals who are very, very into hoarding information for themselves.
Mhm.
And
Which I don't get. Or I've had like at work where I have the idea about something and someone's like, oh, that wouldn't work. Yet they're going to the manager saying, this is what we should do.
Oh man,
And I'm just
did you
like-
work with Six and I?
You're-
Did you
you're
work with
singing
Six
our
and I in the
song.
past?
I was just like, oh my God.
So yeah, there was one of those like when Six and I were working together in the past, he would say something and they would blow him off, and he was like, they didn't even give it a shot. And I was like, give it 2 to 3 months, and I bet you that comes out from some manager as the saving. Thank God they're here. They saved the company. And sure enough, 90 days later, there was coming this grandiose idea, and everybody just clapping. Thank God that guy's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happened in like the same day. It was like 30 minutes later. I was like, really, dude? Really? And I was an apprentice at the time. I was like, whatever, you can take it. If it makes you feel better, go for it. You can justify your job.
So I use this, one of my favorite quotes, Ronald Reagan. It's a Ronald Reagan quote, but he said, there's nothing man can't accomplish as long as they don't mind who gets the credit. Now, this is man, but it can be male, female in that instance, right? But you can get anything done, as long as you don't mind who takes the credit, because you're going to run into people just like you did.
Yeah.
It doesn't lessen the sting, I know, and nothing but a 1-inch wrench to the teeth would make it feel better. But don't go the violent route, I guess.
Or at least
just outperform them as you have. You can go back and they say, well,
Or
they
mess with
came
their
with that
toolbox.
idea, but what's that?
Oh, what's it?
Or mess with their toolbox. There's always that.
We're talking about shop pranks now.
Okay, all right. I'm glad you talked about it. Let's get into that. Subject. What are some of the best shop pranks you guys have done or been involved in or had done to you?
Oh my God, I've got one. At my first job when I was an apprentice, and honestly, these guys were all great. Like, I love them all still. They took all of the tampons that were in my toolbox, opened them up, and put them all into water. Like, and even my own water bottle. And I'm like, what the fuck? But it was funny, but I was like, those tampons weren't so like throughout the hanger, anytime there was like water anywhere, there was like an open tampon, like they opened it up and pushed it out, and like so that
We also call those King Air filters for the instruments. Is a tampon.
No, it's actually true.
It's actually true. I've had someone hand this to me, and it has a part number and everything. And they're like, so what you're going to do is, I'm like, I think I got this. I think I know what I'm doing.
I think I'm probably more qualified than anybody here right now to do this particular job.
I'm pretty sure you needed a class on this, but I may or may not have some experience on this than you do.
Yeah. I've had my wheels glued to the ground of my toolbox.
That's a great one. I've never thought of doing that.
Yeah,
but I will.
it was right before I left, so I was a little bitter about it, but because I got laid off. Or I had a crew chief that was always playing pranks. When it was slow, we'd bring our like cars into the hangar and wash them or whatever. So when you like left for like lunch or something, he put all of the hole punch confetti into your air vents, and then turn your fan on max so that when you backed out of the hangar, it was like blow everywhere.
I had obviously, the grease under the handles. Like that's a classic, I think. And also they took my toolbox. Like I've got the big, like 5-foot Mac toolbox. They like use the forklift and put it up on like the rafters.
We've done that
like,
too.
Work on day one. And I'm like, where the fuck is my toolbox?
I've done that.
It's pretty terrible though.
I've seen that too.
I've done the one where they park the AOG van out in front of the hangar because they're just running in to grab whatever they need and then run back down the ramp to wherever they're working. But they leave the keys in it. So you just get in the van and take off and park it somewhere else and watch them look for it for 30 minutes. We took all their tools and put them in a container filled with water and threw it in the freezer.
Oh,
terrible!
Everything was in a giant brick of ice.
Or did Office style with Jello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you
I know?
know?
Hannah has also had this happen, I think. Somebody put a dead bird in my toolbox.
Oh,
that was a cat. They were just showing you that they're really proud. Look what they brought you.
Mine wasn't dead, unfortunately, but it wasn't a bird. It was a cockroach, and I'm really scared of bugs. And we got this plane in that was like infested, and they like this one guy knew, and he kept putting them in my toolbox. So when I opened my drawer, like I would freak out. But yeah, really gross.
Oh, we had a guy when I was working back east. We had a guy who was deathly afraid of snakes, and we found a dead black rat snake. It got hit by the mower when they were mowing around the airfield between the taxiways and the runways. And it was dead, but we picked it up and took it in and laid it in his box and kind of put it together like it was coiled up or whatever. And I've never heard a grown man scream in such a high pitched tone before.
So one of I think we mentioned this way back in one of our bonus episodes. It's probably like one of the most prime time pranks we've ever done to somebody. It was one of these aircraft where there's a static or pitot-static port right by the pilot cockpit or right by the canopy.
I forgot about that.
And we had this kid who was very new. He's a little slow on the uptick, so we kind of had to baby him a little bit. But we told him one day that the static drain port was a mic, like a microphone. And he was hooked up to the plane, and he's like keying in, telling the pilot he's about to execute whatever or pre-flight check. And the pilot was playing. He was in on the gag, and he knew it. He's like, "I can't hear you." He's making this gesture like he can't hear what he's saying. So he's like all screaming and whatnot. And then here's MVP, myself, and a few others who were like, "You gotta talk into the other mic. Use that mic in front of you."
Yeah, use the backup.
Yeah, use the backup mic. That was what it was. And so he's like screaming into the static port, like, "Dude." Like, what was it?
And we had the pilot on board with it, so he's screaming in the mic, and he looks up to the cockpit, and the pilot's thumbs up at him.
Ground to pilot, something like that. Like really screaming
he was
into
really
the
proud
static
of himself
port
for using the backup mic and getting that launch out on time too.
We were rolling forever. Like it was so hard to keep a straight face just because of how like really into it this person was. Like he full on believed that was a microphone. So we had to walk away from him for a while because we just couldn't stop laughing. And then after the fact, like, why were you guys laughing? Like, dude, like, do you know what you were doing? let me come this way, my nugget friend. We were gonna have a little lesson here.
That's funny. Yeah, I've done an apprentice before. You know, ignition lead tester.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yep,
and you're like, so you ground it and you get them to hold the thing. You're like, hold this for a minute. You just squeeze the button and they get a little jolt.
Yep.
We've done that with magnetos before. Like, here, hold this. Hold your fingers here, and then twist this real fast, and it shocks the shit out of them.
So we had something similar to that. I want to say it's the same thing, but we called it a megger. It's for troubleshooting wires. Like it will send like a jolt of electricity through the wire bundle, and same thing. Like we'll just crank it up to a certain extent so it gives just enough of a shot. Probably like, I don't know, 9 volts, something like that. Nothing major, but just like enough to be what was that?
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Don't get any bad ideas from Nordia. This is terrible. We shouldn't be talking to you about this.
or listen to our stories and prepare yourself accordingly.
Prepare and take notes.
What I'm doing.
Like, nope. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do none of these things. And the people I did it to will never admit it.
So have you guys ever done things like Hanger Olympics
No. What is
on
that?
the slow days? Oh man. Well,
Ooh.
you guys got a treat coming your way. So we would do like 3 laps around the hangar, right? That was our running event. We did
Chalks. It was chalks.
like the hammer throw, but we used chalks. Who could ever throw chalks the farthest? We had the radiation hazard cones, and so all your launch spots, and we had like 10 launch spots or whatever, and you had to get, and they had a really heavy base to them so it wouldn't blow away in the wind, but you had to get 10 of these radiation signs. Whoever could get it the fastest from launch spot 1 to launch spot 10, you didn't matter how you got them there, you just had to manually get them there. You couldn't use a tractor or anything like that. And people got creative. Jousting, office chair jousting with trash can lids and brooms.
Yes. Or
I don't know if you guys know what jammers are.
Oh, those are the weapons loaders. Yeah, I don't
The
think
weapon loading
No.
equipment. So they're these little like
forklift
2-cylinder diesel 2-stroke things that load bombs and stuff, but they go faster in reverse than they do forward. So you would have to do a slalom run. We set up like a cone course, so you'd have to drive this thing through this whole course and then stop and then reverse the whole thing. Whoever could do that the fastest.
Or they sometimes they'll have like these little traffic cone looking things, but they look more like bumpers than anything, but they're heavy. Or sometimes you'll get the base from these from the same radiation cones, and you have to throw it like a discus or like a shot put.
Yep.
We're done.
Yeah.
We had way
Those are
too
some
much
of the
fun.
Hanger Olympics things. And then one more prank, safety wiring somebody like their belt loop when they're sitting there at their desk doing paperwork to their chair.
Yes.
It's a good one. But you got to leave it long enough so when they walk away, they get pretty far and then it stops them.
I've had an apprentice. Well, he was a high school student, actually, just doing like 3 weeks of whatever, learning about airplanes. So I was making him wash an airplane because he was lippy that day.
Yeah.
And so he's on like a creeper under the plane. It's just a 172. He's just washing the belly or whatever, and he falls asleep. So me and the other guy duct tape him to the floor. So we'd be on the other side of the hangar, rip these long strips of duct tape, and then run over, put one down, and then like kept doing that. And he didn't wake up. So then when he woke up, he was stuck to the floor. It was great.
Those are good ones.
We did something similar with aircraft washing. Since you brought that up, is someone will be scrubbing away, but someone will be on the top of the plane where he can't see, and we'll just keep on squirting soap. So he's like scrubbing. Like, why that shit is not coming up? We'll keep on squirting soap.
Or you're on the belly and some guy is on the side on a ladder and you just take the cleaning solution and keep squirting them in the crotch just a little bit at a time so they don't realize they're getting soaked.
Terrible.
Childish stuff, but so much fun.
You got to have some fun, right? Because if you stay too serious, you end up actually being screwed on too tight and actually lead up to an incident.
I tell everybody, if I can't have fun at work, there's no point in me showing up.
Yes. And that's kind of like how we came about too, is like we would have enough fun to kind of get people to unwind and loosen up a little bit, because if you're too tight, you actually start over focusing and you'll lead up to an incident. I'm not sure if you guys have seen something similar to that, where this person's getting so hyper focused and their anxiety, you could see it in their face that they're so pegged with anxiety, they're actually freezing in place. And you feel like just like any moment now, this person's going to burst and it's going to lead up to something that may not be something they want. So, and that kind of goes with the teamwork thing too, is like you kind of have to be able to spot that in somebody. Like, hey man, you might want to take a break, take a breather, go take a walk, something. And with you ladies, I feel like that's a very prominent thing, especially for being together for like, I don't know, what is like your second time when going into that AMC competition. And I gotta ask, I think I asked Cassandra this when she came on, but how did it feel being one of, I don't know, let's think, seven all women teams at the AMC?
it was really cool to see other all female teams. Like, I was blown away that there were so many women. So I was really excited to meet them. And a lot of the teams were super nice to us. Like, if we would, they like let us sit down at their table while they were studying, and we were just like more wanting to socialize with everybody because we were obviously new and exploring the whole conference. But yeah, everybody was really nice that we met, and then we got to do a cool like group picture of all the women that were there. And I don't know if somebody has, I think Cassandra might have some of those pictures, but it was really special.
I can only imagine that, especially there was only like what, seven teams of five, probably like 40 at most, not including some of the spectators that were just there with them.
Yeah, and some teams had spare people too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think you could have one up to 2 spares, I think it was, or 3.
I think it was just one.
Oh, it's just one. Okay.
Yeah, but even some of the college teams had like females on the team and whatnot. So that was cool to see too. The up and comers also.
But they were
getting to
probably
see.
looking at you guys going, "Wow."
Yes,
You know what I
I
mean?
was looking at wow, so I hope they
No.
were.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, as much as you were going wow, you were probably receiving the wow as well.
And you guys wore team shirts too, which I didn't see a whole lot of, just based off some of the.
What was you guys' team jerseys?
Yeah, Elevate, they made us jerseys. So we had like all of the sponsors on the back of the jersey and then the Elevate Aviation on the front. And yeah, I didn't see like a whole lot of bright jerseys or shirts or anything like ours. But yeah, I really liked ours. I still have them at home in my closet. So maybe
What you guys should do?
Wear them.
What you guys should do is send the shirts around, and next time y'all get together, have each of you sign each other's shirt and then frame them. That'd be cool, and hang it up in your office at work or whatever.
Yeah.
Inspire the peasants you work with. You know what I mean?
That's a good idea.
Oh man.
And then let's see, I think it was Chick Fix, right? Was one of the main all women teams, and we were just watching the award ceremony. Their names was called like almost every event, like the winner of this
They
event.
cleaned house.
You just keep them up there, like just have them stand off to the side, and for every time they do get called, just have them step forward, like, okay, thanks everybody, and then step back and just wait for the next round of people, because that's just how much they want. And I mean, to be honest, like when we saw the event, we almost thought that it was just going to be a clean sweep, not a single woman's going to win, or it's going to be rigged in such a way that women were going to win. And we're so glad to see, like, not only there were so many women teams, period, not just intermingled teams, but actual all women teams. Like, they actually had confidence that their women technicians were going to just kick ass. And then see like 2 to 3 women only teams just clean house. And to include you guys as well, or you ladies as well. And to us, that was very inspirational, especially for the individuals that you specifically want to mentor or touch base with or help influence. They see that happening, and then kind of inflating your heads a little bit. You're almost like celebrities at this point, especially in the areas that you're from.
Not me. Not.
Oh, you are. They just don't know it
You don't
yet.
think you are, but you are.
Yes.
Not yet.
They just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
Yep. Don't sell yourself short. You've done a lot, even in your shorter career.
Yes. No kidding.
More than most have accomplished in a 20-year career.
It feels so wild because I was talking about it, I think today with someone. Like, I cannot believe that, this was something that I had just thought up. I wasn't really sure I was going to do it. And even with the initial competition, the skills competition in Ontario that we did, when the organizers asked me to be on the team, I had said no. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I was so nervous I was like, I'm a student. I don't know what I'm doing. And they were like, yeah, just try it. Just go and have fun. And then I just did it and it was great. So it's pretty wild to see how far I've come and how much has happened in such a short period of time, from just being there nervous with the ladies in Ontario because I didn't know anyone. And I met them the day of the competition. And they were so nice and welcoming and helpful and supportive. And it was a really great experience to just even going to Dallas. And I think that's such a big thing. And sometimes even I don't fully appreciate how huge that was. So, yeah.
Well, you guys are all professionals, but you have a high level team of support, to help you and to model yourself after. So very lucky in that regard.
Yes, very much so. And we said this to Cassandra and I think to Hannah like a great number of times, like knowing your dynamic, knowing how fast you guys can cohere and just work together and understand the job and not just tackle the jobs that you're unfamiliar with, but actually excel in some of the ones. Your team dynamic, if I was a hiring authority today, I would hire each and every single one of you. I would not separate you. I would keep you all together. You're going to learn as a team. You're going to figure out the schedules as you would as a team. And like, I would have 100% confidence that whatever task I assign you, it's going to get done 100% of the time.
Well, and that goes back to you guys should start your own business. I mean, you guys already work well together, but you all, as your business would expand, you would all hire people of the same caliber as you.
Yes. I
mean, you wouldn't just hire any Joe Schmoes or whatever. I mean, you're gonna look for the cream of the crop. And I think you guys would do very well in that venture.
I know, and I agree. And I just think like with Hannah and I working together and doing those avionics tasks, and Nordia and I doing that pneumatic drive unit, Lindsay and I, we did those other avionics troubleshooting and we had so much fun. And then Alicia and I with that burner can, like we can all work together so well. And I just know, like, I always joke to everybody like, oh my God, I wish we worked together, because like we just work so well together when we are together. And I just kind of wish that we were all in the same province, or like a way that we could all work together, because I just think that like we all excel so well right now. And like, imagine if we were at the same company, like how much more we would be doing.
Well, not only at the same company, but calling the shots at that company, right?
Yeah.
You guys would just be an unstoppable powerhouse aviation maintenance business there in Canada. Hell, you could even do a cross-border road trips. I mean, that's what I did when I was when I got done deploying overseas. I was traveling around United States, Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean, chasing jets around. You guys could even do that, and that comes in with that Pratt & Whitney C+ warranty work too. That'll take you everywhere. Those are some of the main reasons I went up to Canada to work.
And don't tempt us with a good time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, they have the angel and devil on your shoulder. I'm trying to be whatever one you're going to listen to right now.
I mean, I will, and I am.
I think that's what we need to, like we've talked about it. We need more of us in management roles. So
yeah,
we
for sure.
definitely like had the late night talks of like, girl, you need to do this. You need to apply for this. You so need to, so, I think we're all grateful for that, just because here's the other thing, like this is such a novelty to know female AMEs. Like Cassandra was the first female AME with a license, like fully licensed, like same license as me, that I had met. And that was in 2018. And I've been in this industry since 2005. So I'd never worked with another female AME. I knew of people like this person over at this company, or like structures or avionics, but never the same exact license as me, which is really sad. But so meeting her was really awesome, especially because she was still like, she's freshly licensed and like still loved aviation. And I've been through the grind already, having to figure this industry out on my own. So, you get a little disgruntled at some point. And so it was just nice to like have renewed, like see it through someone else's eyes, not be as jaded. So I think
fresh perspective for sure.
Exactly. And renew my own. And so it's nice having all these ladies because again, they're all at different stages or different skills. So you're always getting something new and exciting.
Exactly that. And
that's exactly what this show has done for Six and myself.
Yes.
I mean, it started off as office conversations and turned into recordable therapy sessions, and it's turned into getting a renewed view on the industry, right? And why we got into it initially. Because like you just said, you go through the grinder and you go through the week and you're like, that's it. I've fucking had it with this shit. This thing can all burn down, blah, blah, blah. And then you get on with some professionals like yourselves and you're like, it's not so bad. It's a pretty good place to be.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's a good thing.
You just find that talent or that individual that just like reignites the spark, so to say, right? Reinvigorates you. Like, you know what? I'm for this. I'm all about it. Let's get the new generation rolling in. Let's freaking get this done and get it done right. So with that said, if you could travel back in time or meet someone just like you, what's one piece of advice you would give?
I guess for me, I would definitely say that you're allowed to have your own opinion. Like, you're allowed to feel the way that you do. Don't ever let anyone tell you how you're supposed to feel, or if you're feeling something and people are saying, well, you shouldn't feel like that. Like, you are allowed to feel the way that you do. And I think that's like a big thing that I would tell my like apprentice self, because I always had people telling me like, you shouldn't be annoyed at that, or like, you should just have thicker skin. Like, why are you upset about that? But I mean, as a human being, you are allowed to have feelings, and like, your feelings are valid. So just like, be okay with the way you're feeling and don't let anyone tell you that it's not okay.
That's very good. Good perspective. Good standpoint there. Because I think so many people are told like, shut up and color.
Yes.
You know.
I can't tell you the number of times people have said that I should have thicker skin, like too many times.
Well, and what that does is it stifles creativity, so to speak, right? Businesses don't really realize how much that can hurt them in the long run, because somebody comes forward like I think it was Lindsay saying earlier, where, hey, I got a good idea. That's no good, blah, blah, blah. And then they go and run with it. But maybe it's a situation like, no, that's a terrible idea. No, it's a terrible idea. Okay, well, eventually I'm going to stop trying to solve the company's problems. I'm here for my paycheck. I'll do the bare minimum, send me my paycheck, and I go home.
Right.
And when the company needs to adapt and grow as its environmental pressures change around it, it's going to find itself where maybe there's a solution right there in their own hangar, but they crushed it a long time ago.
Yeah.
That enthusiasm, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds more like people were telling you that because this is just how the industry is, and those people are, even though they're toxic, you're just supposed to put up with it, So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know my younger self, like, well, just listen, like, be a good listener is always great, if you want to learn, but also, like, you don't have to hide who you are. Like, be fierce, be powerful, be a female in the industry, and don't apologize for it, right? Like, hiding, you stand out already. So like, I hid a lot of things, just like, how dare I have pink tools? I would never want that, because then you'd know I was female, right? Because I had pink tools. but yet, and then so like meeting Cass, and she's got like the pink toolbox and the pink. I was like, oh, you do you,
She
girl. You're
owns it,
so
right?
amazing.
That's the ownership of it.
I
Yeah.
spent too much at Snap-on ping tools.
Man, I tell you, I haven't spent it on pink tools, but tools nonetheless to snap on. Boy, they own my soul for a while.
I mean, if something goes missing, I would it would stand out like it's cool, right? You know, it wouldn't just blend into someone else's stuff. Like, yep, that's 100% mine. You can't fool me. Pull the wool over my eyes on this one.
Yeah, or somebody just stole a pair of pliers. All right, who stole the pink pliers? Come on, own up to it. You know,
See, that'd be something I'd have to do if I had to like maintain my own tool set, which I don't do anymore. I'd probably be like the most flamboyant one. Like, if you're gonna steal this, you're gonna be so intentful in this, and I will be able to spot it like right away. Like, oh, cough it up, friend. I know it was you. I'm the only person in this whole freaking hangar or this line that has that kind of tools. I mean, like you said, right? Own it, and you said it best. Like, just you already stand out, so why not stand out in the best
Just
way you
own
can?
it. Yeah, just be you. That was the hard part.
Absolutely. How about you, Hannah? Like, what's a good piece of advice, or what's one piece of advice you would give your past self or someone similar to you?
The one that immediately comes to my mind kind of ties into Lindsay's, just like knowing your worth and not accepting less. I think I just accepted what other people told me for too long. You know what you're worth and you know what you're capable of. So, don't accept less pay just because you're a girl, and don't allow them to just give you easy jobs because they don't think you could handle more or anything like that. That's something I always stress, like even going on to like the pink tool thing. Like, I don't want to be treated differently at work just because I'm a girl or get special treatment or anything. So I think I wish I could go back and tell myself just like to know my worth and be more assertive about that, which is surprising because I'm sure most of the girls here don't think of me as a non-assertive person. I'm pretty assertive and speak my mind on everything. But when I first started, I wasn't as much like that as I am now. So I would say just know your worth for sure.
Most definitely. Alicia, how about you?
I think that's probably one of the first things I noticed about Hannah when we first met her was like, oh my God, I wish we were like her, and so like spoke our mind all the time about things that were bothering us when we were her age, because she's the youngest out of the group. So we're just so proud of her and how she just, carries herself in the industry. But yeah, I would say the same thing. It's like knowing your worth, because you don't really have anybody to talk to, so you don't know. I think that's where it comes. Like, we feel so isolated because we are the only females a lot of the times, only in the hangar. So we just don't have other girls to talk to about like, hey, like, and a lot of people don't even talk about pay in our industry. So that's also very frustrating to even know like, hey, am I getting paid the same amount as this other guy who's doing the same job as me? But also, speaking your mind. If you see something that's not right, but it's the way that the company has always done it, say something. If you don't feel comfortable with it, and if you wouldn't want your parents flying on that aircraft, say something.
Very, very much, yes. Especially that.
Yeah, that's how I've always thought about anything that I do. It's like, okay, would I want my family flying on this plane?
Yes, right. Very much so. And again, if you don't have the confidence of putting someone you love into it, then why would you put someone else's life into it?
Exactly.
Very much, yes. And Miss Nordy B, how about you?
I think I would just tell myself is maybe to just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, being a woman in a male-dominated field, that's not what really was fearful for me. Just not being a mechanically inclined person. Like, naturally, that's just not my thing. But now it is. So it's just getting out of my own way and just doing it. And I think I would just tell myself to go ahead and take the jump and
be confident.
Yeah, be more confident, because like the confidence for me is something that came in time, right? And I remember, like, I would even tell Alicia, like, oh my God, Alicia, I don't know what the hell am I doing, and she would just be like, relax. She's very like, yeah, relax, and I would be like, Alicia, I'm like having meltdowns, Alicia, I don't know what I'm doing, and even now, like, I'm taking this type course and I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like, it feels like a type course is school on steroids, right? It's just so much information. And because I just got out of school and I had to take the course now, it was kind of like now, or I wasn't sure if I would have been able to take it later. And the company does have the aircraft that my type course is on, but when I started, it was never in the hangar. So, I'm in class with a bunch of men who've worked on this aircraft for years, and I'm just like, what? Say what? So it's like being more confident and just knowing, like, you know what? I don't get it now, but I'll get it tomorrow, and I'll be even better the next day and better the next day, and just taking that initial first step to not be afraid.
That resonates with me so much, especially with the whole make mistakes with confidence, right? Like, you're going to make a mistake, at least be confident about the mistake you're about to make, right? Me, myself.
Fail forward, as they call it.
Yes. Like myself, like, I worked on helicopters pretty much majority of my aviation life. And the first time I touched hands on a fixed wing plane, right? Like, it was on an aircraft that it didn't have a trainer. So it was all like on paper. Like, we had to kind of just know already what the heck we're doing. And a lot of the guys taking the class, it's kind of like a refamiliarization to them. Like, they've put hands on this like so many times, and they're just getting a refresher on a newer model, say. And here's my ass. I'm like, what is this? Like, I'm used to planes that go wop wop, not like what are we talking about here, right? Like, my propeller is on the top, not on the tail. So explain to me, propeller governor, what is that? Stuff like that. It was such a learning curve for me. But and yeah, I got teased on a bunch of times because, like, oh, well, you don't know this, you're supposed to be a mechanic. Like, okay, friend, let's ask you what a transmission on an airplane looks like. There's transmissions on an airplane? Like, yeah, imagine that. So that's definitely something I personally resonate with. Like, just make mistakes with confidence, lean forward, be okay with stumbling, just know your worth, and then do the do. That's exactly
one of my I want to call it, like, one of my aviation friends, like, told me that, getting your license is just like a license to learn, because I'm never going to know everything, right? I'm never going to know everything, and I just have to be okay with that.
Yes. And exactly that. And especially with how fast things evolve, like, what is relevant now may not be relevant 6 months from now, 9 months from now, 3 years from now. Like, some of the airplanes that MVP and I worked on, they're obsolete, long since obsolete, but like that was just the nature of the beast. I'm like, okay. And exactly right. Like, we're just here to learn. It's just a license to learn. And MVP said it best. I'm going to let him take that one lesson away.
Oh, yeah. Well, so what I was going to tie in with this was accountability, right? Be accountable. Like you guys are talking about making mistakes earlier. Own up to those mistakes. Hey, raise your hand. Hey, I messed up. And you come out better from that on the other side. Yeah, you might get a little bit of an ass chewing up front, but far less of an ass chewing if you try to hide it. So just own up to your mistakes. Be accountable for your actions. But on the other side of that, take credit for the work you do. If you did something really awesome and you guys just said, hey, I did this job in under 8 minutes. And if somebody comes through, and you're going to have these management teams that come through and they're like, oh yeah, my team did this in under 8 minutes. No, fuck that. These two individuals did that in 8 minutes. So I have people that work for me now that are, they're pretty humble. Hey, like that. And I see it. I know that individual took on that task and got it done. And they'll come back and be like, hey, you guys got that done quick. well done. You know, you got that done quick. Well done. Oh, well, you know, it's only because me and so-and-so. No, fuck, you did that. That was you. You know, so I try to make sure people, when they do, if they won't own up to it themselves, I make sure that they get the credit they're deserved. Right? Be accountable for yourself when you mess up, but also if you're kicking ass, make sure that's known too. Don't hide that aspect either.
Yep, absolutely right. And the tie in again with I can't really. Sorry, tie in is like one of those words like I try to say very limited, but another lesson that MVP said best in many of his episodes was talking about like learning, since having your license or your certificate is a license to learn. The moment you stop learning is the day you become basically dead. You're brain dead. You're old. You're worthless. You're obsolete.
And I learned that from my high school soccer coach. He was a man from Zambia in Africa. And he always said that. He goes, the day you stop learning is the day you die. He goes, you might still be living. He goes, but as a person or as a free thinking individual, you're dead. You're dead in the head. So the day you stop learning, whether that's the day you stop breathing or the day you choose to stop learning, is the day you die. So you're always out there, but you're never alone. That's what I tell people. Like, a lot of people might think they're out there like Nordy, you might feel that because you're so new, you're like, oh my God, I'm out here freewheeling on my own. You're not. You got a great group of ladies here to support you, but also even in your own workspace, there's going to be somebody there. Hey, I don't understand this right now. Can you explain it to me? You know, and maybe the way the instructor's explaining it isn't the way that best suits you, but there might be somebody sitting next to you who goes, yeah, actually it's really like this, and can tell the details or the information in a different way that makes more sense.
Yeah. I think I've been lucky on that end because my instructor, he knows that I'm like fresh out of school. And, you know, even today I said, look, avionics, I'm having a hard time. And he's like, yeah, let's go over these review questions, you know? And it turns out that everyone wanted to go over the questions, but, you know, no one wanted to speak up. And even at my new employer, I work with a bunch of men who've been there like 30. The most junior person has 20 years there.
Wow.
I started, and it's like, he has like 20 years. So everyone there, they've been so helpful. Like, okay, if you need to come in and you need us to run this system for you, or we're going to call you when the aircraft comes in and see if you can come in and, you know, we can show you this and show you that. So I feel like I've been really, really lucky on that end. And it makes me feel so good that that's the type of environment I'll be in, where people are supporting the talents that I have and that I'm developing. And I don't feel like, oh my God, you know, I'm a girl and they're going to, you know, judge me, because I feel so happy there. You know, it's good.
And I would always likewise say that the newer generation of technicians, be it women or men or whatever the case may be, they now have you all as their mentorship, whether it be in the same organizations, whether it be into mentorship groups like Elevate or Hangar Queens. Either way, now they have you all who have already learned majority of the hard lessons, or at least can guide them past the hard lessons, minus the ones that they have to build character from, obviously. But they don't have to make those same mistakes you have in isolation. Like, they're not islands no more. They have all you all to help them along and mentor them through for possibly things that you've never had. So I appreciate every single one of you for all that you do and all the contributions you make for both women in general and aviation in general. And I think I'm taking the words out of MVP's mouth here as well. Like, we're just inspired by all that you ladies do.
Thank you.
Oh, very much inspirational.
Yep.
You guys make me try to do better in my own work every day.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
no. I got levels to achieve yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well,
Like,
thank you also for being allies to like females in the industry and knowing that you don't have to treat us different. You just have to give us the same shot. And, you know, also having like your support just on social media, being like, you guys rock, is like so awesome. Just to like open your phone and be like, oh, these guys get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear. I'm glad that's how it comes across, because that's what we're driving for.
Yes.
Yeah, but even some of the new gen that Nordia went to school with, like she won, they kicked ass in Ontario and she got flack back for it because, they were jealous.
I was trying to keep it cool and not bring that up.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm just saying.
You got flack for doing good.
I was trying to.
Hey, Kobe Bryant said, the good ones don't have haters, only the great ones do.
Oh,
Correct.
Mars. There it is. Swing. Swish. And it's I appreciate that you're calling us allies. I really do. It means a lot. It really does. And we got asked this, I think, in another show or some kind of social media space, like, what's your guys' biggest feeling of celebrity strike, right? Like what celebrity would you guys like to have on, or what would make you feel most excited to meet? And I said, I would like to meet every single person who listens to our show and gives us feedback. That is by far the best feeling that I can get, or we can get. It's just hearing the people who actually listen to us and feel comfortable enough to give us feedback. Because like MVP said, there's going to be some haters, and that just means we're doing a good job. And we got a lot of that. It's amazing as that is, or as unbelievable as that may seem. But hearing the words from you and seeing how you guys just continue to inspire, and all the shortcomings that you had is not stopping you from doing what you feel is the best path forward for you, is to me at least the best feeling there is. It really is. And going with accomplice or allies, allies, as you said, Lindsay, I think I had this conversation with Cassandra where an ally is just someone who's kind of like, who just got your back and just be like, yeah, I'm all for you. They send a like and they'll send a tweet or whatever the case may be. But an accomplice is someone like you call them up at 2 a.m. It's like, girl, this is late. I need some help. Are you down? And with no question, and here comes the accomplice, hangs up the phone and just drives to wherever you're at and helps you do whatever you need to do. I feel we're allies, but we're trying to trend towards the accomplice. Like, we're here to help you, whatever case is necessary. Maybe not so much on the legal side, but
or maybe we don't know.
Or maybe I don't know. Nothing happened. Secret squirrel, secret handshake has never happened. But that's what we're trying to trend more towards. Is we want to be your accomplice in what you're trying to achieve, not just someone who's in your lane or who's got your back when things are going good. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah.
And not saying I'm not appreciative of you calling me that. I'm trying to.
No, I get it.
So, any firebacks for us, ladies? I mean, like we mentioned earlier in the show that we want to make this 99% you, but feel free to turn the tables on us. Do some round tables on us. I'm ready to answer some questions myself.
So did you like live in a place where there was big spiders?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Well, let me backpedal a little bit.
Non-aviation question, but like really.
So let me backpedal on that. They're big in relative to who?
In relative to the Canadian spiders.
Okay, so then yes, I'm from a place that has many big spiders. MVP has encountered many of them, and yeah, but these are the ones that. I mean, no one's gonna believe it. Like, oh, they're harmless. Like, but you see the side. Like, someone who's definitely afraid of spiders will definitely say, "I don't care. I don't want them near me. I don't want to exist in the same plane as I am, and I hope they all vanish from existence." But yes, I am from a place that has a big spider.
And I have been to Six's homeland and can confirm that there's some pretty gnarly spiders. Yuck. Banana spiders, right?
Banana spiders, yes.
I had to Google that when you was on your episode.
Oh yeah,
those were so disgusting. I never want to see that.
Aren't those big white ones?
They're yellow, actually.
Yellowy. Google it.
I think I remember.
Oh,
yeah,
so
seeing those before.
Oh,
They're just
nasty.
still walking around, just
Yeah, you walk through the jungle, you might catch one of those to the face. You like to build their webs at
Yeah,
height.
they like to build their webs in high places. So conveniently, that height is about the same height as your face. So yeah,
Ew.
Beautiful.
lovely.
Who's beautiful? Alicia, is that you?
That was me.
No.
Sarcasm, beautiful.
Yeah, it was a sarcastic.
Okay, great. You know, I can never tell with you sometimes. Please.
I love it. I'm all about it. but
So do you guys work with
And
women?
big ass coconut crabs.
oh yeah,
What?
love those
Okay.
coconut crabs. Those I fear more than the spiders, to be honest.
Yeah, they're pretty. They'll climb trees and kill birds.
Yes, and their little pincher thingies, they're strong enough to crack coconuts. That's hence the name coconuts.
I mean, but can these crabs, are these crabs edible? Like,
Oh,
can
yes.
Oh yeah, they're
Oh,
a
yes.
delicacy.
we curry this crab? Because, you know, I'm from Trinidad. So can this crab be curried?
Oh yes, oh yes, they're actually really good. They're actually really good once you catch them. But it's one of those that you got to catch them and raise them for like a day or two, so it kind of cleans out whatever nasties they've been eating.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's have any of you ever seen the movie Moana?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know Tamatoa, the one that steals Maui's hook. That's a coconut crab.
Yes. Oh,
I
dang. See, this, I'm looking at it now. I'm watching it kill a bird. So
Oh yeah.
it's huge.
You were asking something, Nordy. I'm sorry.
No, I was asking if you've worked with a lot of female AMEs before.
I have actually. The only issue is we're split up into different sections, like specialists. Like
Yeah.
we have engine people, we have structures people, and we have avionics people. And majority of the women that I've worked with, they've mostly been avionics technicians. Rarely ever have they worked on the powertrains or the engines as I have. And
Yeah.
the ones that I did have, there's probably like maybe 4 total that I've ever met in 20 years. But yeah, so majority of the women I have seen, they're very heavy in avionics specialties. And to be honest, like majority of those who were in avionics, they end up going into the higher positions because, as we all know, avionics basically runs everything. Like the engines fly by wire nowadays instead of being links and bell cranks and stuff like that. So my job essentially is more or less obsolete because there's only so much I can do to an engine versus like avionics, which runs basically everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, fair.
Yep. So like, but my experience with women in AMEs, it's either they just kind of. I'm sorry. What happened? Oh, they either have been like stellar, like super stellar. They're the ones that you will see becoming CEOs in like 10 years or something like that. Like most capable of succeeding, kind of like each and every one of you. Like I can see each and every one of you becoming a CEO in the next 10, 15 years. And then there's these other ones who they're more or less like people who got goaded into going into those specialties, you know, like you better find yourself a job and it ain't going to be here. And so like they kind of just floated that way. So they don't really want to be there in the first place, but they just kind of do it as a job. And those are very rare, but the ones that I have seen, they kind of muddle the waters a little bit for the women who actually do want to excel and succeed. So whenever there's women in the areas that MVP and I have worked in, they kind of have to push past that ceiling of having women AMEs or specialists that have done just that. They're just there to kind of collect a check and not actually learn the trade or learn the skill sets or excel in just doing a good job. So yeah, I'm not sure if you've experienced any of those because there's so little of you, but in some of our areas, there's like a whole bunch of them, but it's either they're amazing or they're just there to pretty much hang out in the locker room more or less.
Yeah, they're either excellent or it's one of those. Oh, can you pick this up and carry it over here for me? I just can't lift it. And you're like, it's 15 pounds. Are you serious? You know what I mean?
Like they just don't want to do the work, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
But most of my experience has been the ones who are really good don't stay on the floor very long. They get pushed into management pretty quick.
Oh yes. And those are the kinds you want too, like, because they've just doing so amazing, just flat out amazing. And whoever the powers that be, they just say, you know what, we need this person in a more responsible role than just being a technician. Which for some that's kind of heartbreaking because, you know, they kick ass and they're very good mechanics or technicians. But you could also see that progression, like this person will probably change the world if you give them enough leeway and capability to do so. Which I feel the same for each and every one of you. Just throwing that out there.
Aw.
Not to
Sounds like
inflate
we
not
need
to
to-
inflate your heads too hard, but yeah.
We'll take it. We don't get enough.
all day. What you need, man? Like you just need to pick me up. Like, hey, just message us. Like, you are amazing. You are the best thing ever. Everyone in your
Affirmations by 6. That's
yes,
We'll
absolutely.
give you some affirming memes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're big fans of memes. So
Oh yes.
Send them-
Oh, and comics too. We're doing affirmation comics too.
I love
oh yeah, we can.
I'm sorry.
No, I love the stuff that you guys are putting up.
And there's more. There's a lot more as far as the comics is concerned. We're
Mhm.
just slowly but surely cranking them out because like we're trying to play a little close to the chest so people don't just mooch it. People don't try to copyright it, say it's theirs or whatnot, just because there's some thieving people out there. And then two, it's kind of like we want to put it out there for the people who know already. Like this is for you specifically. This is for you to have your voice out. This is for you to feel affirmed that people do care about you. And then slowly but surely, as it starts to branch out more, people see it more. They start getting more curious, and then the full flood comes. If that makes any sort of sense. I'm starting to brag now.
No, I don't think so. It's your business model you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Clown maintenance.
Clown maintenance. we're weird. I know. Sorry.
I have another question. If you guys could move anywhere in the world and do what you're doing now, where would you go?
Oh man.
Good, right? I know. That was so good.
You got me. MVP, you can go and take it away from here.
Oh, I'm still thinking. I don't know.
Let's see. For myself, I mean, I wish I can just nomad it and just go anywhere. Like I have maybe like a home base, and then I can just hop foot wherever I need to, wherever I feel like going, kind of like an RV almost. If I were to like flat out live somewhere, like I had to choose somewhere, I'd probably pick New Zealand.
Oh, nice.
New Zealand's a good choice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I pick New Zealand because it's kind of like it's like a good mix. Like there's a lot of good people there. There's a lot of good culture there. A lot of good movies go there. So I'm gonna see a whole lot of celebrity stuff. And then also like there's a lot of cultures there that I resonate with very closely. I kind of share a little bit of some of those bloodlines. So that's kind of like the next closest thing to home to me.
Yeah, what's funny is I was kind of lean towards so I've been to Canada a whole bunch of times and I really like Calgary a lot.
Oh.
I could do Calgary in a heartbeat.
Really?
But I super enjoy that town. Outside of that though, I enjoy Germany a lot. Different festivals, and they got like it's a whole mix of cultures there now. So you got a little bit of everything, and they're pretty aviation. Actually, not Germany. Switzerland.
Switzerland, yes.
Yeah, they got some neat stuff in the way of aviation. Maybe not like big corporations, but they're like the development of some of the technology that goes into aircraft is pretty neat that comes out of there.
But we're also very prone to come towards you guys, we're all about that too. Or even if just like you guys can stay here for like I don't know, like 10 years or something like that, and can go wherever from there. We're all about that too.
But back to the Calgary thing, I really liked Calgary a lot. I could do that pretty easy.
Mm.
What about it did you like?
So when I was there, it was the last time I was there, it was late August, and there's that river that runs kind of right through downtown, and there's like a biking path or a walking path on either side and some bridges and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody was outside, like walking up and down the river, exercising with their families, with friends, with boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to say. But everybody was outside, just kind of walking around, enjoying the outdoors, which I like. They also have a really good like nightlife scene down there. Really good restaurants, some bars with some live music. And then I know you guys have those not tunnels, but like bridges that interconnect all the buildings. So when it's wintertime, you don't really have to go outside to get to all of them.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's a really cool setup. But also the Rockies are like an hour and some change away, and Banff is out there, and Banff is beautiful. And I like going backpacking and camping and stuff. So going up into the Rockies and such would be a big attraction for me. And then they have the Stampede every year.
That's true.
And that's very fun to go to. It's a huge rodeo for anybody else who doesn't
watch
know.
Some Canadian NASCAR with the chuck wagons.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm actually going to.
I've never heard it called Canadian NASCAR, but that's pretty funny.
Okay, but we have to ask you though, if you like the Bow River and like walking along there where everybody's biking and stuff, did you ever get attacked by a Canada goose?
I have, but in where I grew up in Ohio, not in Canada.
Oh, because like that Bow River area, those geese, they really do want to get you. Like, so did it bite you?
It bit me on the inside of the thigh. and that was painful. But I was a kid at the time when that happened. It hasn't happened since. What was really cool is there was like a couple of beavers out in the river there, chewing on some logs, which is kind of neat. You don't really down here, especially where we live now, you don't see beavers a whole lot, but then just see them out doing their thing. I don't know. It was a kind of a cool mix of city to outdoorsy to Western culture to, it was a good mix for me. I enjoyed it.
Well, you'll have to come visit.
Yeah, I would love to.
Castle and I are close, so.
Oh, most dev. We would love to. And, but the Elevate Aviation Inspiration Gala would have happened already, but we totally would have loved to come to that, and probably any future ones for sure. And if you guys are still in the area, or actually, no, that's in Alberta. I'm sorry.
It is in Alberta.
But we're very keen on traveling and meeting a lot of you, meeting anyone who's willing to meet us. And I think traveling is pretty much like, from all the work that we've done, traveling is kind of like it has to happen.
It's kind of weird, like when you travel for so long, you're like, I want to stop traveling for a while. And I haven't been traveling so much in, I'd say, the last 5 years, and the itch is starting to get back there again.
Right? Yeah.
Just kind of being on the move, seeing different things. That was a big attraction for me getting into aviation maintenance too, because when I first got out of school, one of the things I looked for when I was interviewing places was who was going to pay for me to travel. And that's kind of who I went with.
Yeah, very much so. And that's kind of like the same with me too. Like, oh, travel and adventure, solid, all about it. Get me out of here. Let me guys go places, anywhere and everywhere. And then I went to some places that were not choice, but hey, it's part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? The answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is very much yes. Surprise! The answer is yes. Yeah, I mean, again, ladies, we're just so inspired to have you here. For you to do what you do, and for us just even sharing moments with you, ladies, even if it was just like the affirmation memes or just like the you're doing a fantastic job text, whichever the case may be. Like, we're all about it, and we're here for you and any current and aspiring maintenance technician / aviation specialist, whichever the term is in your region. We're all about it.
Sounds great.
Sorry.
It's like radio silence. It's like,
No,
I think everybody fell asleep on us. No, that's cool.
We're just trying not to talk
Like
over
these-
each other.
My Wi-Fi cut out, but I just got back in, so thank you.
Not a problem at all.
It's midnight. It's midnight over here. So
Oh,
Yeah.
snap. We should
Man.
probably let you go then.
Yes.
to me,
It's a school night, right?
every night is a school night. I have 3 kids. Like every
Oh,
night is a school night.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, most definitely.
I feel you on that.
Well, ladies, again, we appreciate you coming on. For those of you who like to know more about some of the good things that these ladies do, there you can check out Elevate Aviation for a lot of the mentorships and some of the events that these ladies go through. Likewise with Hangar Queens. They're all on Instagram, and I'm not sure. Are you on Facebook too, Alicia, with Hangar Queens?
We're not on Facebook, but we are on LinkedIn because
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's pretty big in Canada.
Oh, I did hear about
Is it
that.
really? Interesting.
Huge.
It is not very big here.
No, not in the slightest here. Like here, it's more like it's like Facebook for people who think they're executives, and then they just kind of like banter back and forth and thinking that.
That's a good way to say it. I'm the executive manager at some company you've never heard of, or it'll say entrepreneur.
Yes. Not talking smack about entrepreneurs in general, but there's a lot of individuals who kind of tout their weight a little too much, but neither here nor there. So LinkedIn and Instagram, definitely check out Hangar Queens and Elevate Aviation. They do have some events in Canada. If you're in those areas, just follow their social medias. Their website has all the stuff that you can participate in, or if you just want to discover aviation for yourself.
And even if you're not in those areas, still look into it.
Yes, most def. And likewise, if you have any questions or feedback for us, you know how to reach us either by social medias, email, website, whichever is easiest for you. Send us your feedback. Let us know what you feel, what you think, some stories that you might want to share so it can inspire other people, because that's what we're all about. We're here to help inspire, help reinvigorate the spark that may have kind of dwindled down a little bit. And then we also want to pass on the lessons learned, preferably in a funny way that's gonna keep you from over focusing or hyper focusing and then possibly lead to an incident. We want you to have that split seconds relief where you can focus yourself on what needs the most attention and not put too much strain on yourself. Ladies, again, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. We are definitely your accomplices in all this. And again, just thank you again for taking the time to come and meet with us and talk some stuff about aviation and women in general.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. And we'd love to have you back sometime. And as you guys are going through your own lives and stuff, and if something comes up and you guys, oh my God, this would be a great subject to talk about, hit us up. We'll set up another time and place to get us all on the same line again, and we'll hash it out.
Thank you guys so much for having us. I know that we were all really excited to, come together and actually chat, because it's been a while for all of us. And I'm very excited to hear the episode. I'm sure we all are. So thank you again. It was a great time.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for this platform.
Not a problem at
Not
all.
a problem. And I hope you guys, since you weren't able to get together last year and practice for the competition, you've got that on your agendas this year to all get together, not only to practice, but to just get that bonding time in and that camaraderie.
Most definitely.
That is true.
And start looking into that business.
Yes, please. We'll be your
I'll be
first.
checking in on that periodically. So
Yeah, ladies, start looking into that business.
I'll be looking for some progress reports. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We'll be there to do your we'll be your certifying body for that.
And we'll start promoting the business.
Heck yeah. We'll start promoting it too all day.
You guys are awesome. Thank you again for plugging Hanger Queens too. I appreciate that.
Not a problem at all. Like I said, like we're all your accomplices in it, and we're all here for all of you. On that note, thanks again, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you all again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
We would like to take this time to thank our patrons for supporting our show and allowing us to make episodes, maintain our gear, and create merch for all of our listeners. With special thanks to Erica Lamont, Chris Hawkins, Dan Schubert, Ryan Frushauer, Kyle Keir, Caleb Stockhill, Jenny Dignan, and Jennifer Brofer. Thank you all so much for your support and patronage. If you like our show, please support us on Patreon. You'll receive awesome perks such as access to our private Discord, discounts on and early access to merch, first glimpse of our comics and other projects, and so much more. Visit our shop at cancelformaintenance.com and grab some swag to show off both your support for us and your prowess as an aircraft technician. If you have suggestions for the show or have a guest recommendation to be on the show, send us a line on our contact us section at our website, and we will do what we can to get your ideas and or your recommendations on the show. You can also follow us on social media, such as on Facebook at Cancel for Maintenance, Instagram at Canx, that's CANX for Maintenance Podcast, Twitter at CXMX Podcast, and now you can catch us on Tapas, where you can view our latest comics. Check out our affiliate, RockwellTime.com, for watches and eyewear that support both your sporty and classy lifestyles. Use the code CX4MX, that's the number 4MX, to save 10% off your total purchase. Thank you all again for your listenership and support, and we will see you all next time.